I'll disclose that I like Mike McFaul because I know him personally a little bit, and I got to know him before my interviews of Putin when I was at NBC. I take your point. Russiagate was made up. There was no truth to it. And in fact, the whole thing was generated by Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton, which the media had absolutely no interest in investigating at the time or now, even post Trump's presidency. It just didn't happen. But I don't know whether you can say people like that were actively misleading. My belief is, and it could be my own naivete, and this is not necessarily true of like a James Clapper, but my belief is that they just have such a negative view of back in Russiagate, certainly Vladimir Putin, but way more than that, Donald Trump, more than Putin, Donald Trump, that they believed it because they needed to believe it. It was easy for them to believe. And some of that same dynamic colors their commentary today.
I mean, unfortunately, I think that there are millions of Americans who are left to believe that Donald Trump is controlled by Vladimir Putin. And I imagine for several generations, this will be taught in schools in blue areas around the country. And it's a tragedy for the country, this amount of misinformation. But I think that people who really have some expertise in the subject, that they would understand what reality really looks like. And what they were pushing was not reality. It was a political operation that's done tremendous damage to the United States. And now we see part of it. Americans should understand what's happening in Eastern Europe. I mean, this is a major land war, right? This threatens to, and I'll just say something about China right now, that what we're seeing in Eastern Europe now is the rise of a new order, right? Which includes Russia. It includes China as well. We see that China and the Russians are partnered. It also includes Iran, because there's something very important happening here. While Joe Biden and while the Biden administration is digging in hard on Putin regarding Ukraine, in Vienna, Biden team negotiators are dealing with Russian negotiators over the Iran nuclear deal. Right. So while we're talking about, or while the Biden team is talking about sanctioning Russia and going hard on Putin, what the Iran deal will do, it will flood Putin's war chest. It will flood them with billions of dollars, and it will turn Iran into an arms client for Russia as well as for China. And it will turn Iran into a nuclear client for Russia as well. So this is really one of the major things that we're seeing happening in Eastern Europe now, the rise of this new anti-U.S. order. And that's why it's so important for experts, whether it's on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or wherever, to not spend their credibility so lavishly, because it really is important for the American public, American voters, to understand what's happening right now.
Why do you think that it's really the Obama-Biden sort of duet. Why do they want this Iran deal so badly? I mean, it's like Trump got us out of it. Why, especially given that we need Russia to make it happen, why now wouldn't we be like, you know what, we're going to table that, you know, because we all know it's not actually going to stop Iran from getting the bomb. In fact, most people think exactly the opposite. So why are they so dead set on continuing this pursuit?
I mean, I think there are a couple reasons. I mean, I think that one of the things that, you put it very well, Obama and Biden, sort of the Obama-Biden faction of the American political establishment. I think that what they wanted to do was they wanted to realign, right? They wanted to realign American interests in the Middle East. And they were tilting against traditional American allies like Saudi Arabia, like Israel, in order to embrace Iran. And why they wanted to do that is very peculiar. Because our relationship with Saudi Arabia, almost 80-year relationship with Saudi Arabia, has been one of the engines of American prosperity. The idea that we've been tied to the world's greatest producer of oil in Saudi Arabia. And believe me, I know that there are plenty of problems with our relationship with Saudi Arabia, and plenty of problems also with Saudi Arabia itself. But the idea of throwing away this relationship in exchange for a terror state, it's a terrible thing what's going on. And you're right, it's not going to stop them from getting a bomb. And what I try to explain to people, because a lot of the technical details are very difficult, so different friends who aren't obsessive lunatics like I am, I say, just look at the idea of the sunset clauses. What the sunset clauses mean is the different restrictions on Iran will expire over time. And once they've expired, Iran's nuclear weapons program will be entirely legal. It's now under the protection of a U.S. security umbrella in terms of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. That's what they're doing. They need to make sure that Iran is going to get the bomb quickly, because one of the things that the Biden administration has to deal with is the fact that when Donald Trump came in and he withdrew from the deal, the Iranians were very upset about that. And so there's no way to stop a next Republican president, whether it's Donald Trump in 2024 or someone else in 2028. There's no way to write in prohibitions against an American president getting out of it. So what are they going to do? They have to ensure that Iran gets the bomb, which is terrible. It's terrible news. And again, this rising order that we're seeing in Eastern Europe, Iran is a part of that, because we see Iran's relations with Russia and we see Iran's relations with China and Russia. So it's really a momentous time looking at it with some sort of historical distance. But we are living in the middle of it, and it threatens our peace and prosperity.
And China, meantime, so the third sort of pole of this triumvirate, is just mercenary in every transaction it approaches, right? It's just like, we're going to make money, we're going to exploit you, we're going to take over large factions of your community, even though we're going to lead you to believe it'll be exactly the opposite. You can influence us. We'll have a partnership. It'll be mutually beneficial. And then before you know it, they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. And this is one of the sort of points of focus of your 5-part series for the Daily Wire. Tell us about it.
Thank you.
We had an author from the Wall Street Journal on recently talking about how the Chinese have completely taken over Hollywood, and how every movie you see now has been cleared essentially by the Chinese, or at least would be acceptable to the Chinese, and has pro-China propaganda and often anti-American propaganda, which will please the Chinese. It's insane. But your look is more expansive. It touches on Hollywood, but it's more expansive.
Right. Yeah. We look at Hollywood. We look at Anthony Fauci and his dealings with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We look at the Biden family and the Biden administration. We also look at American universities. We look at the media. We really cover a lot of stuff. We look at the NBA and LeBron James, a whole bunch of different things. I think the important issue, and what I really want viewers of that series to come away with, is that the most important thing is that it's our own ruling class, our own leadership, right, that has done this.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.